What's up, everyone? My name is Erik Hatch of Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching out of Fargo, North Dakota, as well as we have a few expansion markets. Man, I am so excited about our topic today. We're talking about how to sell at least 500 homes from your sphere annually. It's something that I never thought possible. Frankly, I thought that my life would consist around buying leads, buying business, and just getting after it. And wouldn't you know, all of a sudden, hey, already a question. You have to leave in 10 minutes. Yes, there will be a recording, Stephen. Yes, there will be a recording. So we are done there. We're going to get right to it here, and I want to honor our time to get you in and out as fast as possible. If you're watching live, you're going to get a recording as well as an email with some information. If you're watching because I sent you the link, or you're on our YouTube channel, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, it's the Hatch Coaching YouTube channel. Tons and tons and tons, excuse me, tons of great value that's on there, and I want you to make sure that you gobble that up as often as you can. We literally have probably 50 plus hours of content that's on there, and more coming weekly. So with that being said, I got to tell you, we find ourselves now, we have had a bang up year at Hatch Realty. Hatch Realty is, of course, a real estate company, but we function as a team only. We don't have anybody who's not a part of our team in our ecosystem. And now we find ourselves really, really in a sweet spot. We're going to sell about 850 homes by the time this year is up. It's 2020 as I record this. And we're going to sell about 850 homes this year. And about 500 of those are going to come from our sphere of influence. Whoa, that is massive. I can say with confidence, I don't know of another team that is doing quite that much business from their past clients and their sphere of influence like we are. It is, I think, the highest percentage for a team like ours. And frankly, a lot of people, if you're watching this, you may be an independent agent doing the gig on your own, and you just want to sell a few more to your sphere, or you're growing a team and an ecosystem and you want that to be super duper big. Frankly, I don't care where you are I care, but it doesn't make a difference, because you should be able to pull and extract some value from today. So a couple of things. If you're watching live, let this be a conversation, not just a presentation. A conversation, let's talk back and forth. So if you have questions, be sure to post them in the chat box or the Q&A portion. And then as well as I'm going to try to honor our time and have us out of here in about 45 minutes or so. With that being said, let's take some notes, get ready to jot some things down. I'm going to share my screen here, and in just a moment, we're going to get after it. So here we go. Move that down and share. Shoot, wrong button. Okay, present is what I wanted to do. Okay, so we're talking about how to sell 500 homes to your sphere annually. Again, we at Hatch Realty, we're going to sell about 850 homes this year, and about 500 of those come from our sphere. But I have to get very specific, and you need to know what we identify as our sphere, and we use this acronym, PCSOI. Please write that down. PCSOI. That is past clients and sphere of influence. That PCSOI, I'm going to show you exactly what that means here. Take a look. This is what we count as PCSOI for past clients and sphere of influence. First, of course, past clients. And it doesn't matter the lead source. And I want you to know and understand that in our world, how we measure it, and if you measure it differently, that's just fine. However, in our world, we say that any past client that comes back to us is not a piece of business that we've had to go and purchase. That is an earned relationship where they choose to come back. So past clients, referrals, SOI deals, SOI sphere of influence means anybody who knows you and likes you already, where the company doesn't have to purchase that. We also include in there open house leads. Yes, we pay for the listing. Yes, we pay to do the marketing on it, but we earn the relationship at that open house. And so these are the things that we're counting as PCSOI. And this is where we're going to do about 500 deals this year, is from these 4 sources here. So 3 types of business I want to make sure that you fully understand. PCSOI, of course, takes a massive amount of intention, and it takes a massive amount of focus. My gosh, Most people's businesses crave being high on PCSOI, but if you're growing something large, oftentimes you're not spending enough time in these other two buckets. Or excuse me, you're spending too much time in these other two buckets, and you will just hope and pray and cross your fingers that you're actually going to figure out how to grow and sell a lot of deals, a lot of things to your sphere. Frankly, most people, I had somebody once say this. They said, you can wish in one hand and crap in the other and see which one fills up first. And I wish all the time that we had like a big SOI database and that we're nurturing it well. But frankly, we don't give it the time and attention that it deserves. So I want you to know and understand that, yes, that is an important piece. And I think it is the foundational piece of a solid business is PCSOI. The second type of business that you can grow is one with low-hanging fruit. These are your high-priced, hand-raising type of leads. I would put radio on here. I would put sign calls on here for low-hanging fruit. I would put Zillow and Realtor.com. I would put HomeLight. Those are expensive lead sources, but they oftentimes bear a lot of fruit. Get this. So I run a coaching company. I'm one of the top 25 real estate coaches in the country because one website once told me I was. Anyways, I'll tell you that I had a client, they were selling 400 plus homes a year, an unbelievable business. And 80%, 80%, 360 deals a year. No, 320 deals, math is tough. 320 deals a year was coming from one lead source. That lead source rhymes with Schmillo. That's right. They had 320 deals a year coming from Zillow. Now their profit margin was super tight. On top of having a super tight profit margin, they had a business that was not in their control. See, if the price changes or if the lead source dries up or if they want to shift their model, which all those things seem to happen when you're buying leads from elsewhere, they were in a real serious hurt bag. And so I don't ever recommend having all your eggs in a basket like that. It's super dangerous and it's really expensive. Frankly, I don't know of many people that make a ton of money on those lead sources. I know people who make good money on those lead sources, but at a ton of money, that's going to be hard to come by. I do know that this PCSOI bucket, that makes us a ton of money. That is the way in which we're trying to work towards predictable business. The third and final type of business you need to pay attention to are long-term nurtures. I actually think that your past clients and your database are also long-term nurtures, but it's a different approach. These are pay-per-click leads. These are forced registration leads. And the nurturing time on these is far different. I'll tell you this, I can't measure for PCSOI on how long it takes to actually bear fruit. I can't. I don't know that number because those are relationships, and relationships are a constant evolution and a constant revolving door of giving value. I can't tell you how long the nurturing time is for that. For the low-hanging fruit, for our Zillow leads, it takes over 600 days, it takes 180 days on average, 6 months to go from a new lead to a closed transaction with that low-hanging fruit. Specifically Zillow in our world, it's a 6-month nurturing period until they actually close. For the pay-per-click, for the long-term nurtures, those kind of things, that's over 600 days. There's technology that will support that. There's great things that will support that, but you need to know and understand that that is a really hard number to grab a hold of. And your PCSOI, to grow 500 deals from your database, that is a hard thing to get a hold of unless you have a system and a strategy. And guess what? I'm sharing my system and my strategy with you today. So here we go. I have 8 ways in which for you to sell 500 homes to your sphere annually. And maybe for you, 500 is such a crazy far out number that you're never gonna, you don't think you're ever gonna get there. Well, I wanna remind you, I live in Fargo, North Dakota. We have 250,000 total people in the 2 counties that we serve. I mean, it's not a lot of people, and we're able to start milking that, and we're gonna continue to grow on that. And so whether that number is 500 for you or 50 or 200, whatever that may be, know that I have a plan, and this plan works for every level. The first is this: be massively involved in your community. Be massively involved in your community. I'm not talking about your job as selling real estate. I'm talking about your job as being massively active in things in your community. I'll give you perspective. I got into real estate full time in 2011. Prior to that, I was in the ministry. I did worship leading and I did youth ministry, and I ran some fundraiser events and that sort. It was an awesome job. And it was a large church that I worked at. The church I worked at was 4,000 or 5,000 members. I was known and hopefully respected by a good majority of the church members. Now, I'm not saying to go out and get a job working for a nonprofit or working for a church to try to grow your business. However, the benefit of me being massively involved and giving back and pouring into people led to a really great amount of business. So much so that in my first year in real estate full-time, which was 2011, I sold 52 homes, 5-2. And I paid $0 for leads in that entire year. 52 homes. My first year, 52 homes from my sphere. I picked up open houses. I probably sold 8 or 9 houses to people that I met at open houses because I worked every single chance I could, because I knew it was a chance to get business. And then I worked my database heavily, and I just stayed in contact with people. And they already knew that I was a person of value. So let's pause. Does your database believe you are a person of value that pours into them, that gives back, that nurtures, that tends to, that cares for, that uplifts? Are you doing the little things all the time so that your database knows who you are? They don't need to know what you do, but they should know who you are by your character. See, this is so important, to be massively involved in the community, to volunteer for nonprofits, to play. I was at one point, before I had my knee and my hip replaced, I'm 40 years old and I have a whole bunch of titanium joints, but that's not the point here. I was massively involved in intramurals, and I played a bunch of sports. I played basketball and went to the gym, and I was in volleyball leagues, and I probably sold a couple dozen houses to people that I used to work out with. See, if you don't have a big sphere of influence, if you uprooted me and you put me in Tampa, Florida, and I had to figure out how to go, I will go and I will get involved in every possible service group or organization, a Kiwanis club, a Lions club, a Rotary group, a referral group, all these things. I get massively, massively involved. And then I work every open house I possibly could. See, I want you to write down this word. You see it on the screen there, mind share. Mind share will lead to market share. When you are front of mind for people and they know of your character, not of your job, but of your character, it will lead to market share. In fact, think of the word remarkable. Write that down because it's such an important word. Ask yourself the question, how can you become remarkable? You are so fantastic that people can't help but remark about you. They can't help but speak of you. See, if you want to be remarkable, you have to do you have to do things that are extraordinary. They don't cost you extra, but it takes extra intention. I'll share this with you, and you're going to hear more about this as we go. Social media is a really interesting thing, and birthdays on social media are wild. I have in the Facebook world, I have 5,000 air quote friends. People that I'm friends with on Facebook. And so when my birthday comes around, which is March 1st, I will, without doubt, get 300 to 500 posts on my wall that say happy birthday. I then will get a couple dozen text messages and Facebook messages of people saying happy birthday. But you know what I don't get? I don't get phone calls. This last year, 4 phone calls is what I got. 4 phone calls. I can tell you who it was. I can tell you about our conversations, but I can't tell you about who it was that posted on my wall. See, somebody went above and beyond just a little bit. It was my mother. It is my mother-in-law's birthday today. It's really easy to just send a text message, but I called her this morning and I told her how much I love her and how much our kids love her and how much she means to us. And I took 2 minutes out of my day, but I promise you that kind of effort is a remarkable effort. See, I'm doing what everybody else is doing, but I'm just doing it at a better level. And if you want to grow a huge business of your sphere of influence, you have to do things that are remarkable. So step number one, be massively involved in your community. Step number two, use the ISA model exceedingly well. And here I'm going to lose some of you. Some of you don't have ISAs. If you don't know what that term is, it's an inside sales agent, really a database manager. In our world, we have a very hard line between who works what. On this side over here, our ISAs work with all of my purchase business. We are spending $50,000 or $60,000 a month to purchase new business. To sell 850 homes a year, it takes a lot of cash coming and going, right? And so we have a strategy for this over here. And my ISAs are the ones that are touching this, because converting a have not met is totally different than converting a met. These are very, very different strategies. And so our ISAs tend to this over here. They are specialists on converting these have not mets. It takes longer nurturing, it takes more intention, and it takes more of a strategy. On this side, here we have all our agents working just with people that they already know, like, and trust. All their lead generation is based on their PCSOI, their past clients and their sphere of influence. It's a huge opportunity that's right in front of you. And all you need to do is focus your agents on this over here, that they work only with the Mets, that they only chase after people that they know, like, and trust. And over here, your ISAs chase after your purchase business. See, we figured out that when we do that, we're protecting these over here, as well as honoring these over here. See, we're now masters. Our agents are averaging, and hear this very clearly, because people are shocked when I say this, our agents are averaging 25 sphere deals per agent. That's so much. I have two different guys that are each going to do between 50 and 60 deals from their sphere this year. Now there, of course, we have to continue to figure out our value proposition as our team to keep somebody that amazing around, and yet they've become a master, because our ISAs master this over here and our agents master this over here. It is so important to do. Again, if you are just tuning in, please ask some questions, make it a conversation, not just a presentation, as I continue to go. But I'll say this, is that you need to have a strategy for client events and touches to your database. You gotta have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. And the plan is not just throw something against the wall and hope it sticks. You gotta figure out what works. Let's start with client events. We've done client events since like my second year in real estate. I think we started client events back in 2012. Our first client event was around Thanksgiving. And what we did is we gave out pies. And so what I did is I picked up my phone and I texted all my past clients and all my friends and everybody else I could. And I just copied and pasted the same message. And I invited them to come and stop by our office to get a free pumpkin pie or a free apple pie for Thanksgiving. It was really simple. I saw other people around the country doing pie days. And so I texted them and I got like no response. And so a couple of days later, I texted again and I got a few more responses. And then I had to text again and then I had to text again. And it took probably 5 or 6 attempts and touches. So I'd send them Facebook messages, I'd send them text messages. I think we sent out postcards too at one point. And then I'd bring it up with everyone I could to say who's interested in this. And I probably invited in total 300 people. And those 300 people I had to touch on average 4 or 5 times to get them to actually say yes. It was a chase. But we think we're doing these people a favor. Like, hey, I'm providing you this free $7 pie. So please drive across town and give me your time so you can have this $7 pie because I'm so great. And that's not what client events are. Client events are people actually pouring into us. See, we have 5 or 6 or 7 touches in the beginning. You then see them at the event, which is great. Our first year, I think we had 70 or so people. We had almost a 25% response rate from all the people that we touched and all the people that we went after. That number diminishes every year, by the way, and I'll get to that in a moment. What happened is we had 70 or 75 people that came for the pies, and the real success in the client event is afterwards. See, what I did is I called each one that came, and I called them the week after the event. And the call went like this. It's like, Rebecca, hey, it's Erik. Just calling to see how the pie was and how was Thanksgiving. You had said you were going out of town. How was travel? Awesome, right? You chit chat and you banter together for just a little bit. And then I'll say, hey, Rebecca, if it's okay with you, can I call you next week? I have a quick business conversation I want to have with you. And what's Rebecca going to say? Of course, she's going to say yes, right? I mean, we had 5 or 6 touches here, the touch during the event, and then the touch afterwards. Never once am I selling anything ever in the history of evers. Never once am I selling in that entire process. It's just give. And then at the very end, now I'm asking Rebecca, hey, can I call you and have a business conversation? I'm putting on literally a different hat, and she understands that this is a different conversation. And so when I call her next week, I'll say, Rebecca, it's Erik. Remember I asked if we could have a business conversation. Do you have just a quick moment? All right, Rebecca, here's the deal. My wife and I have huge goals for next year. And we're doing everything possible to try to blow the roof off this because we have a desire to grow a really big business and to have a really big life. I'm wondering, can I just share with you the best way to give me a referral? I'm not asking for anything right now, but my hope is in the next year or two that all of a sudden somebody who you're around is looking for a great realtor and you think of me. That would be such a gift for me. Okay, here's what you need to do, Rebecca, is when you find out that somebody's looking to buy or sell a house, would you text me, them, and you on one text thread? And just simply say, Erik, I want you to meet Steven. He's looking for a house and I told him you were great. And guess what? That's all I need, Rebecca. Now let's pause there, everybody. I didn't ask her for a referral at that time, did I? Instead, I taught her how to give a referral. And most of the time, if you've been in real estate for even a smidge of time, you'll hear from somebody, Paula will say, you know what, Erik, I referred you last week to my coworker. And I'll look and I'll be like, I didn't get an email or a text message or a phone call. Like that never happened. Because Paula simply told them, hey, you should totally work with Erik. He's great. Which is well and good and true. But the problem is I haven't taught Paula how to give a referral. And so at the client event is meant to set the stage for future business conversations. The client event is not for business conversations. 5 or 6 touches just to get them to sign up. You see them at the event, you call them after the event, you then set the business conversation thereafter. I've had that conversation so many times and it's been so fun every time. And so once somebody's come to a second event, I don't do it again. I continue to give value because I know that it is far better to attract a referral than it is to ask for a referral. And I want to give them attractive opportunities. Our pie day this year will probably be 1,500 pies that we'll give out. That is, our biggest year has been about 1,600 pies, and we give between 1,000 and 1,600 every year now. And it's so many touches, and it has all intentions. So we do a client event 4 times a year. These are big client events. Client events are well and good, but if you're not doing that follow-up, it's just a pie. I actually think that client events in their future revelations as we're learning more about things, and especially because COVID pressures, I think client events are going to become smaller and smaller. Groups of 10, private dinner parties, happy hours, more intimate gatherings where it's not just trying to feed the masses. I think that's what's coming with client events. Hopefully that makes some sense on what you can do, but you need to have a plan on your sphere and your past clients and your database. A couple things I'm adding there at the bottom of the screen, something to take note of. I don't use these personally, but I have some clients that use them and they speak really well of them. Client Giant is a third-party vendor that you can hire, and they will send, and you set how many times they'll send, but they'll send great items of value to your clients. And banner season is another way in which you can stay in touch with your database and your past clients. So some things worth Googling when this is all said and done. Number 4, master your social media presence. Some of you don't spend any time on social media. Some of you are way over here on the spectrum of like, I don't touch it. And for me, I'm 40. That means that my world is on Facebook. So that's where I am. I mess with the Instagrams a little bit. I sometimes watch the TikToks and the Snapchats and whatever the hipsters are doing nowadays. But my world is Facebook, and that's where I spend most of my time. And I have a strategy for it. Those of you who are watching who are Facebook friends with me, you'll see that I post a lot because it's a strategy. And I'm going to share my social media strategy with you. If you're over here and you're doing nothing, don't feel like you need to jump all the way to here because it's inauthentic. My goal is to get everybody to move 1 or 2 steps closer. And I'll show you what my rules for social media are. The very first one is the 80-20 rule. 80% of your posts should not be real estate related whatsoever. 80%. You need to talk about your family. You need to talk about your pets. You need to post funny memes. You need to make jokes. You need to be lighthearted, fun, inspiring, uplifting, and not political. I think those things, a political conversation can certainly sour some things. And yeah, the 20% though, the 20% should be about real estate. However, let's talk about that 20% because we need to get really specific with that. If you post your next listing or if you post an open house that you're doing, that is not the right kind of post. I don't care if it's your business page or your personal page. I don't think that's the right kind of post. I think the post that you should be paying attention to is 100% about celebrating those people that you're connecting with. What I want you to do with great intention in celebrating those people is to think of yourself as the chamber of commerce. You celebrate your clients, you celebrate your team members, you celebrate your community, and you remind people of what you do without directly telling people you're a realtor. So as an example, I could say, all right, Ed, I'm going to tag you in a post. So I just worked with Ed to help he and his wife find their dream home. I can't tell you how much fun they were. We laughed until we cried at least a dozen times because he toured around in his RV as we went to look at these different houses. I felt like it was the Griswolds pulling up outside of Clark's house, or it was cousin Eddie pulling up outside of Clark's house when Ed and his RV went touring around. I loved working with you, and I hope you and your family have great memories at the house, right? Like, I'm celebrating Ed, I'm talking about Ed, I'm showing all this attention to Ed, and then, it makes me look good, doesn't it? Like, I look so good right now. Look at this handsome blue vest. I look so good. Our job is to remind people of what we do, but we do not shove it down their throat. That is such an important thing here. By the way, Ed does ask the question, are we sharing the video after this? Absolutely, we are, brother. You'll get an email with it, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel. Second social media strategy is to post at least 1 time a day. If it is not a habit for you where you just do it, you need to schedule it, because if it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. Again, I said be the chamber of commerce and celebrate and shine light on other people. It's better to be engaged than to be engaging, because if you're not super funny, don't try to be super funny. If you're not super deep and inspirational, don't try to be super deep and inspirational, but take 20 minutes a day and comment on other people's stuff. Social media is actually meant to be taken offline. If you want to master social media, take it and now call somebody or have a conversation with them about it. See, social media has been big for me for a long time. And I remember years ago, I posted a bacon meme that somebody had put on their wall, and I just shared it. I copied it, and I got all these likes, all these comments. And as a guy who loves likes and comments, I went and did it again a couple of days later. I found something else that was funny about bacon. And I just kept doing it, and I kept doing it because I started to get known as the bacon guy. And as I got known as the bacon guy, I developed all this momentum to the point that I would get random gifts from people that were bacon. I've honestly received, for one Christmas, including from my in-laws, about a dozen different bacon-related gifts. Now, I like sausage just as much as I like bacon, but it's really weird to be known as the sausage guy. And so I have this brand now. I'm known as the bacon guy. And my goal with social media is I don't want to be known as the bacon guy, and I don't want to be known as the realtor. I want to be known as the good guy, as the great dad, as the passionate father, as the devout Christian. Like, I want to be known as these things. And I just happen to sell real estate. I just happen to like bacon. I think that plays far better in mind share. Because I want people to be remarking about me, not as the realtor, as the guy who has the great house, but hopefully as the guy who has the great heart. And social media allows you to do that. Finally, again, I said call people on their birthdays. For the love of everything, just pick up the phone and call somebody. Super important. Here we go. We're halfway through. Everybody give a little shimmy shake because we're still going. I think number 5 is so big, and that is to incentivize your sphere. Incentivize it not by giving to your sphere, but by creating a carrot to dangle for you and your team members. If you sell 10 homes a year to your sphere, put a challenge out there for yourself to what does it look like if you sell 20 homes to your sphere next year? You have no serious lead acquisition cost on that. Your expenses go down massively. And that's business that you now are doing. People that already know, like, and trust you. For your team members, here's the story. We never started out by incentivizing our sphere. I'm going to use really easy, simple numbers because not all our splits are like this, but I'm going to just use a 50-50 split because it's pretty common when it comes to working with buyers is a 50-50 split. And it was back in 2015 or 2016. One of my team members came and he's like, hey, dude, like, I'm crushing my sphere right now. At that point, I think he was doing 12 or 13 or 14 sphere deals. And he asked the question that everybody on a team asks. And they said, I want more money. I want to get paid more because I'm bringing in more. I'm worth more. I'm doing all this. And here's what happens. If I say no, if my answer is no, the split is this. If you want to make more money, go sell more houses. And if that's the only response that I have, I'm going to have some flight risks. In fact, I know it because I see it all the time that people, once they hit a certain point, once people hit about 24 to 30 sales a year on a team, poof, they're gone. I haven't lost a salesperson in a year and a half. And I have people doing 60 deals from their sphere annually, plus the deals that the company's providing them. And the reason that they're not going is because we've figured out that carrot and we've figured out that incentivization. And 4 years ago, when that agent said, I want to make more, I didn't say no. I said, yes, when. And that phrasing of yes, when is so important. Please write that down. It's one of the most valuable pieces I can hopefully provide you today. But when you say yes, when, what you're saying is, yes, I want you to make more. I want you to have an opportunity when you have checked these boxes, when you've done above and beyond, when you've gone and far exceeded expectations. And so I did the math and I said, okay, we as a team, we should be profiting about 20% if we're good and healthy. And if this agent can do 20 deals from their sphere, I've made enough money off of them. 20 deals that I didn't have to purchase make me a lot of cash. And I want that agent to be able to make as much as they possibly can so that they stay in my world. And so we said, after your 20th deal from your sphere annually, you get 70% of the commission instead of 50% of the commission. It was a big jump for them. And remember, I had 20% of my profit to give. I still have 30% for operating expenses. That just doesn't go away. And so I knew I could give in abundance there. And sure enough, we now have almost every single agent on our team doing over 20 sphere deals in a year. It has cost me in some ways that have just been shocking, but it's also been one of the main reasons why we've grown in the way in which we have. We have better retention. We have less turnover. I suppose those are the same thing, but we've really created an ecosystem that's set up to reward our sphere. So it's really important that you figure out what it is you can do to incentivize both yourself and your team members. Number 6, custom will always win. There's 2 different kinds of clothing, right? There's the one size fits all clothing, which for a guy my size never really fits. And then there's the customized suits and customized outfits. And, you know, like even if I go to a store and I pick up something that's extra large, it doesn't mean that it's going to fit me, or maybe it's too big, maybe it's too small, whatever it is. See, customize and design for that person is how you're going to win. That person should want to be seen. And that's like one of the biggest keys and ahas and takeaways I can give you, is that that person wants to be seen. And if you can make them feel seen, you make them feel special. And if you make them feel special, they're much more likely to give you a referral. They're much more likely to give you repeat business. I'm going to butcher this stat, but the metrics are pretty dang close. I believe the last time I've seen it, over 80% of people say that they would work with their same realtor again that helped them buy or sell a house, that they had a positive experience and they would work with them or refer them. But the number is actually under 20% of people actually do. Why is that? I believe that in the transaction, we do a good job of making somebody feel seen and important and valued. And then when the transaction ends, we go on to the next. See, if you don't have a plan for these people that have already liked you and have already been in your world, if you aren't constantly engaging with them, you are absolutely, positively in a hurt bag here. Let me take a deep breath. My friend Buddy has a question. He says, does the past client SOI incentive restart every January 1st? Great question, Buddy. Yes, it sure does. Every year on their anniversary, it's a restart for their 20. I have some teams that I coach who get zero production for their agents in their sphere. So we don't put that carrot at 20 because that's just so far out there that'll never be reached. We put the carrot at like 10. And we'll say maybe at 5 sphere deals, they're going to get bumped up an extra 5% and then up another and up another and up another. But you just have to figure out that carrot to dangle right there. Hope that makes sense, buddy. My friend Reagan, who's on here, is saying that he calls it the unintended divorce. That unintended divorce is so true, Reagan. When you have a great relationship with somebody, when you're working with them and you had a great transaction, and then you just forget about them. We don't forget because we're malicious. We forget because we're busy, and we jump to the next shiny object. But if you're going to stay in this business and have some massive staying power, you have to customize your approach with your past clients in your sphere of influence. Pick up the phone, send a handwritten note, do a pop by. These are 3 of my favorite ways to make somebody feel valued and recognized and respected. Failure to do so on a consistent basis will lead to a failure in your future business. I love this. This is a line stolen from Michael Mayer. If you haven't read the 7 levels of communication by Michael Mayer, it is kind of one of the guidebooks on all of this, on how to attract referrals rather than ask for referrals. Simply put, are you worth a referral? Not because you did a great job in the transaction, but because you've done a great job of staying in touch and making that person see the value that they are. It's not about what you've done, it's about how they've felt. And ask yourself this question: have your people felt ignored or forgotten about? Far too many of mine have, because I've gone on to the next thing and I've gone to build and I've crapped the bed on it. Some of the ways that I've saved face for some of that is social media, right? They still feel connected to me, and I can tell the story and I can celebrate, and we see memories and that sort. It's amazing what a random text message will do for somebody. Hey, just thinking about you. I loved working with you. Wanted to just check and see how your house is going, right? Like that kind of stuff to make somebody feel like they're seen is going to make you a ton of money. Finally, number 8 is to be a connector. This is the last one, and this one is an art. To be a connector means you play matchmaker with your sphere. I mentioned it was my mother-in-law's birthday today. It's also my friend Greg's birthday. Greg turned 36 today. And Greg is kind of the ambassador of Fargo. He's just connected with everybody, loves this place, and ties people together. I can say through Greg and relationships, I've probably sold 100 houses. Now, I've sold about 4,500 in my career with my team, but through Greg, it's probably about 100 houses. See, Greg has been a part of some of those. He's invested in some properties and that sort. But where he's really won is he's always said, "Hey, Erik, have you met Ron? Ron's this great dude. He just moved to town, and I think you'd really like him." Now, I never asked for that from Greg, but what I did is I poured into him constantly. He was my A level, right? Like, I think we talk about who are our A circle of influence people, and then our B's and our C's. He was like my A triple plus. So I called Greg today on his birthday to check in. I've followed up with him plenty of times on things. And I'll share this with you because I don't always get it right. I asked Greg, what is he doing? And he said, well, I'm sitting out at the lake right now. And I said, oh, so cool. When did you buy a lake place? And he said, I bought a lake place last week. In fact, he bought an entire resort. I lost Greg's business about 2 years ago. I'm not trying to get it back by calling him. I still want him to know that he's valuable and that I care about him. But I passed Greg off to somebody on my team because I had moved out of production and it wasn't what I was doing anymore. And when I passed it off, I didn't inspect what I expected, and they didn't treat him like I treated him. And that was like an A+ person. And he had developed a bit of frustration. And so he came to me and said, Erik, this person's not really working for me. Can you take me back? I'm like, I can't, because that's just not how I'm built anymore. And so here, let me put you with somebody else. And they didn't treat him like I did. See, this is like a Fabergé egg that we're working. These past clients, this sphere of influence, we often think that because we did right by them once, that it's always going to come back to us. And I've lost a lot of opportunity with Greg because he's the ultimate connector. He did an unbelievable job of tying me in with people. And I passed him off to the best of my ability, and it still wasn't enough because he demanded more. That doesn't make him an a-hole. Anything but. Greg is an unbelievable man. He had exceedingly high expectations, and I let him down. And so let me tell you, my guess is you're all letting your people down right now. Honestly, if you're watching this, is because you probably don't have it figured out right. And I don't have it all figured out either, but I'll share with you that we need to be better. Our past clients in our sphere of influence deserve more. So I have a few final points for you. If you do have questions and you're watching live, please post those here now so I can get those covered, because we're going to wrap in about 2 minutes. So I want to make sure I can cover any questions that you have. First is, I don't want you to take any person or deal for granted, ever. Each one matters, and it matters a lot. It's so important for that person, and we need to treat it that way. We need to make them feel special. Don't ever regret going above and beyond. There's so much to be receiving from going above and beyond, and so much to give. Also, do not expect to magically start performing some mind share and some social media pieces, and you're going to see that fruit comes from that. It won't happen that quickly. This is a long-term, like years and decades of work to make all this happen. And finally, strategy wins every day. Don't wing it. I'm going to tell you, I intentionally didn't give you like my 33 touch. I didn't give you, here's what I'm doing. And because what happens is people will come in and they'll just try to copy that, but copying something without understanding the why behind it and having the heart behind it just doesn't matter. I can tell you that if you don't have a plan, if you don't figure out that you have to take action and put something in place from this, you're going to fall tragically short. So you have some work to do. You have some homework to do, and that is to put together a plan and a system for your past clients in sphere of influence so that they feel seen, heard, valued, and loved constantly. And yes, it takes some work and it takes some effort, but I can't tell you the amazing fruit that we get to have now that we've started to crack the code on some of this. So with that, let me tell you, one of the things that matters a lot is to automate some of this stuff. And we've done a great job of automating in our world. We automate through a CRM called Sierra Interactive. We have huge success with that. So I'm going to send out an email to you that are watching live. You're going to see how we're working with Sierra. We also have a Hatch messaging and Hatch systems program, things that we've built out ourselves that are some extra touches on a lot of these leads. So super important stuff. I want you to check out what we're doing with our past clients, and that's in our marketplace. So we'll include that in the email also. And in fact, we're going to save you some money in our marketplace. And then finally, if you want to use some of our Hatch training, we have 3 things for you. We've built out, I built out how to build a real estate team, and it's a really awesome training module. It's about 40 different videos, each one 8 to 20 minutes in length. Step-by-step things on how to build a great real estate team. Robbie, my partner in crime, he has built out about a 50 video module of how to master lead conversion. It is so important to put that in the hands of you and your team members so that you can master lead conversion at the highest of levels. And then finally, this is just getting released next week. Connor in our world is our training and onboarding guy, and he basically has HR in a box, both Hatch Realty and human relations in a box. It is all your training, all your onboarding for the people that are coming on, including how to grow your SOI business. All that training is in there. Those are monthly subscription pieces, super easy. We're going to provide some of that in the email for you too, or you can just go to hatchcoaching.com and you'll find the Hatch training information right there on that main page. Final question I see from Nate here. You mentioned that your ISAs are a big part of your equation. Are they available 24/7? Great question. Our ISAs are working usually 8 in the morning until about 8 or 9 at night. We do have a lot of automation in our world so that if a lead does come in past those hours, they're still getting touched and responded to. So our ISAs are our database managers, and they take care of all of that. And then everything else is handled by technology. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to send to you as well. So I think we covered it. I said 45 minutes and we went 47. So pretty good. I feel good about that, gang. If there's no other questions, God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Again, go to Hatch Coaching on our YouTube page. Go to YouTube's Hatch Coaching page. There it is. And download and get all this extra content. So with that, God bless you. Have a beautiful day and much love to you.